There is something about us guitarists, or rather us humans. We just love a good story. And being part of that story is something we strive for. And today I was playing a guitar that I got recently. I'm just going to show it to you right now. Right over here. It's over here. It's a McCarty 594 hollow body. Um, what I thought is that guitar could well be probably one of the best electric guitars out there, but it doesn't have a story. And certain guitars that have a story, that have certain brands that have a story, they have a big advantage because regardless of everything else, it's that story that you, the human, yearn to be part of. It really took me back. When I was playing this guitar, I was just thinking about comparing it to some of the guitars that I had been playing over the last 15 years or so. When I first started playing guitar in 2004, this was before YouTube was all around, so all I had was poorly downloaded bits, torrents kinds of videos. And everywhere all I saw were Gibsons and the amazing artists that I wanted to be like, the Slash, the James Hetfields of this world, which is why I ended up getting a Epiphone Les Paul. Played that for a while. Then I wanted to get a Gibson Les Paul once I started working, but when I looked at it, it was like 3,000 Singapore dollars plus, which was maybe 2,500 US, which was like this more than the money I got in my bank account after my salary and the usual cuts. So it was just not an option. So the day I got my first Gibson was incredible. It was, I think, about 2008 to 2015. So 7 years after I started working. And what a moment it was. It was an Explorer, and then later I got a Les Paul. I had a bit more disposable income because, certain important things like education loans, house down payment, those were taken care of. And I loved Gibson. I Les Paul. I mean, I don't have those Les Pauls anymore, which is going to get into the story a little bit, but it was just, a dream come true. I forgave everything. I forgave the G string going out of tune. I forgave the heavy, the backbreaking nature of playing it with my band. It didn't matter. It was a Gibson Les Paul, and I really, really wanted to be a Gibson player. I really, really enjoyed it. It was like a thing come true. In fact, when I first got my Epiphone, the thing that made me proud in university was that there was some guitar player who told me, "Hey, this Epiphone is really good. It's almost like a Gibson." So I used to go around proudly telling everybody, "Hey, my Epiphone, it's an Epiphone, but it's really..." And that time, remember, people didn't really know that much. So I would tell them, Epiphone is actually Gibson's cheaper brand. So this is very similar, blah, blah, blah. So, all of the stories of Gibson, all the artists, just contributed to me being part of that movement. I did get a PRS because luckily there was a PRS story that appealed to me as well. I was a big fan of a band called Cradle of Filth, and that band had a purple PRS, so I got myself a purple Custom 22. But somehow, even though that guitar stayed in tune and everything, and I still have the guitar, I gave it to my brother. It was just not something I still gravitated back to my Gibson Les Paul. What happened, which changed things, was when in 2017, Gibson made, or rather, PRS made a guitar that for me out Gibson in a way that I could not ignore it. You see, I was getting a little bit tired of the heavy guitar. I was getting a little bit tired of the sound not necessarily cutting through as well as, say, a Strat in my other bandmates' hands. It was always a very different kind of a sound. So for playing live, for coming through in a band mix, I was always looking for something else. I mean, I always knew that something else could work, something that could stay in tune, something that would cut through the mix, something that wouldn't break my back, something that could do everything that a Les Paul did. But it didn't really exist until they made the McCarty 594 single cut. And when I got the single cut, that was like when the first bit of me said, maybe I don't necessarily have to be a Gibson player. Maybe I should be Considering other brands, it's okay. It's okay if nobody, no artist, nobody has ever played a McCarthy 594. It's a completely new model, etc. I started breaking out my McCarthy 594 with my band. And it was everything that the Gibson did. In fact, I would say it was a little bit better. You had all the sweet sounds, but somehow you could just hear a little bit better. It sustained a little bit better. It never went out of tune. It was lighter. Everything was just much better. But I still, in my guitar collection at that point in time, I had maybe 15 guitars at that point in time, 2017-18. I had two PRSs, the Custom 22 and the McCarthy 594, and the rest of them were basically Gibson or Gibson like a ESP Phoenix and like a Firebird shape. Over a period of time, as I played more and more, I found that I started gravitating less towards my Gibsons. I found that I ended up selling my Gibsons. I found out that gradually I ended up getting a lot more PRSs. All of them had a very common quality that they stayed in tune, they sounded good. Um, they didn't have a story though. And that lack of the story is something so important. I feel like a lot of what you think about a guitar as having character is a lot to do with the story you tell yourself about it. When you play a Les Paul Custom in black, you think about all the Les Paul Custom players. Even if you're not a hero worshipping person, which I really am not, I think I'm not, but even then you can't help but be seduced by the story. So yeah, I kept getting seduced by the story, but I kept also reacting to what I liked. And over a period of time, it was really funny. Gibsons, from being maybe 80% of my guitar collection, went down to maybe now, what is it? 9 out of 80. So they're less than 10, they're about 10% of my guitar collection. I still like them, but what has ended up happening is that now it's less about the story, it's more about the Gibsons that I do like. And which is why all that I have left now is I have Alex Lifeson, which you see over here, which is just a Les Paul. Reminds me a lot of a Les Paul Standard, but with a tremolo. I love that. I have Tony Iommi SG. So I have one of each of the shapes. I have an SG. I have a Silver Burst Flying V. I have a Bonner Bird, which is somewhere here. I think it's right over here, which is a Les Paul and a Firebird mix. And then, in fact, I have not that many. Okay. I have a Baritone Explorer that you see hanging over there. And I have a double neck. So basically and I have another Explorer. This is a terribly structured video over here. There's an Explorer over here. Sorry, this is not the Explorer. This is the ESP. This is an Explorer. And then I have a Firebird. Gibson Firebird 7. Basically, one of every shape. Because I like all the shapes of Gibsons. I no longer have any illusions that they are the best playing guitars. They are the only guitars that have character. But I do like having all the shapes. I do like having a perfect example of each shape. A Flying V in Silver Burst makes me think of Mastodon. A black Gibson Explorer makes me think of Hetfield, even though it's not a Hetfield signature. A Baritone Explorer is just a guitar. My first Gibson, the one that I bought in 2015. A Les Paul, I have my perfect Les Paul, which is like a Les Paul Standard, because I played a Les Paul Standard but it has a tremolo. SG has to be Tony Iommi, so not really hero worshipping completely, but I have one example each. I make no qualms. I would not argue. I would not go out and stick out my neck to say, oh my god, the Tony Iommi SG is such a perfect guitar. It isn't. It's an SG. It's neck heavy. I don't like it. It's super thin. But I keep it because it's just a part of who I am. Paranoid was one of the first songs we played with my band. So what is the point of this video? The point of this video is, if I objectively look at what may be the best electric guitar in the collection for the price, for the money. I have a lot of PRS private stocks, but let's be clear. A core PRS guitar is pretty much as good as a private stock in terms of the playability, pretty much in terms of quality. It's really a cosmetic difference and subtle differences in terms of the actual wood. Subtle differences, not visually, but subtle differences in terms of the quality. Objectively, this guitar, McCarthy 594 hollow body, is every guitar's dream. It plays like a dream. It can sound like a Les Paul. It's a little bit like an ES335 in the sense that It can go from jazz to to hard rock. It does the whole shebang. And this one has coil splits as well. Objectively speaking, if storytelling didn't matter, there would be no reason for something like a ESC 35 or even Les Paul to exist. This guitar can do that and more. And this is a more modern design with a beautiful flame maple on both sides. But we don't think objectively. We still live by the stories we tell ourselves, and that's fine. Just don't let the stories over dominate you. Like what you like, know why you like it. Don't lose sleep over telling people, over defending archaic piece of technology or archaic thing. It's what it is. You like it because of the story. I also like it because of the story. But let's not fool ourselves into thinking that necessarily it's the best guitar. Anyways, I'm enjoying this guitar a lot. I'm going to go back to playing this a little bit more, and I'll see you next time.